want to start with the origins of this. How did you discover the book, and what was it about it that you thought would make an interesting movie?
Well, this gentleman, Tobin, been a fan of his work for a while, and came across the novella, I believe it was in can I call it a novella?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. You made a movie, you can call it whatever you want.
Okay. Came across it, I think it was in 2017, and we were just so captivated by the big idea in it, the notion that there was this alien invasion, but like seen through this totally different prism that we had seen, and that he created and posited this group of creatures that don't exist. We don't know what they look like, but he had them in his imagination, and we thought if we could bring that to life, it could be something really distinctive. Actually, 2017 as well was when I was here at Sundance and snuck into a screening of Thoroughbreds. I was so just like floored by that film, just the confidence of it, and the tonal high wire act of it, and had wanted to. We had a meeting in LA, talked about doing stuff together. Maybe it might have seemed counterintuitive. Thoroughbreds isn't a science fiction story or whatever, but we always saw this as like a deeply human story. I think in the production process, Gabby and I and the team would always talk about. It was a story about people. It was a story about teenagers. It was a story about a family, and felt like Cory was the person to bring that to life. It's been an amazing journey. We're really excited to be here.
And I came on a little bit later, but I got Tobin's book and Cory's script at the same time. So I had a very fun time diving into like a whole treasure chest of mischievous mind, creativity, imagination. And it just all felt so unique and fun, but also daring. And yeah, it's just been a really fun process.
Well, Cory and Tobin, what kinds of conversations did the two of you have? Were you involved, Tobin, at all when Cory was writing the script?
Yeah, well, he very kindly sent the scripts to me. So I read a bunch of different drafts and, sent sort of my comments. And I mean, my own feeling is that writers should generally like keep their hands off a movie, we don't want to have it doesn't matter what happened in the book. What in the end is going to matter is what happens on screen and the connection that Cory makes with that audience. So that was really what I was trying to kind of and Cory has such a strong vision. It was actually great to fall into that myself.
And likewise for me, I talked to Tobin once before I started writing, and then we traded drafts for a while. But I was so eager just to get inside his wild brain and the brain that had come up with this utterly insane book. And certainly, Tobin, I think, was really great about, understanding they're two different mediums. There are going to be some changes to the story, but it was very important to me. My sort of North Star throughout this process was capturing the spirit and the tone of the book, which is so singular, so unusual, and really unlike any story I'd ever heard before.
Well, and obviously with a movie like this, the casting of the two leads is vital. So talk a little bit about the casting process and how you ended up with Kylie and Kylie.
Yeah, I find usually the casting decisions I end up being most proud of are the most kind of instinctive decisions. And with both Asante and Kylie, I just had an instant sense that these actors were the right ones to embody these roles. The movie as a whole is a real tonal balancing act, and you need actors that can make you sort of effortlessly make you believe that this really kind of deeply bizarre world is still one with real emotional stakes, still one that on a kind of emotional, spiritual level is very much like our own world. And I think Asante and Kylie were both great at that. I think when I saw Kylie read some of the most kind of jargon-laden scenes of the movie, she had such a talent for making it seem like she was just talking about sort of totally everyday occurrences, when in fact she was talking about live streaming one's courtship for aliens that reproduce asexually.
Yeah, so Kylie, what was your approach going in terms of keeping all of that grounded and believable?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's like, when I did the audition, it was usually, I mean, ever since COVID, everything's like self-tapes, you never actually like talk to anyone. But this one, the first audition was over Zoom, I believe, with the casting director. So I was like, oh my God, I was so nervous. I think it was like the first one in a while that like I was actually speaking to the person. And it's such a weird thing. So like my main focus was to make it seem normal and seem like I grew up in a world that was sort of like the new normal. So I'm happy that read. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that Chloe just seemed like any teenage girl was my...
One of the cool things about that is that, like, you're saying you wanted to act like this is a world that you'd grown up in, and yet you just described a situation that any actress that's like 5 years older than you would have found totally alien, which is, you know, like doing a Zoom audition, right?
Yeah.
So you did grow up in an alien world in a sense, yeah.
Yeah, in a sense I did.
Well, and Cory, what kind of environment do you try to create on set to facilitate the actor's best work? I mean, and going in, are you the kind of director who comes in with a very specific plan? Are you somebody who sort of comes in and waits to see what the actors are going to do and respond on the day? Is it some combination of all that?
I think it depends on the project. Generally, and certainly on this one, I don't like to over-rehearse, particularly when we have actors that I think really sort of understand the material at a base level. So we did rehearse a little bit with Asante and Kylie, but I think most of my preparation was around the kind of technical aspects of the movie, the way we were going to shoot it, the way we were going to bring Tobin's insane alien creation of the VUV to life. And so we really sort of over-prepared as far as storyboarding, shot listing, pre-visualization, more than I've ever done on any other movie. But I do like, and it especially felt right for this project, to keep an element of spontaneity and discovery in the human interactions that are the bread and butter of the film.
Yeah, I might say, just, you know, out of respect for our partners, MGM, that made the film, I mean, Cory was extraordinarily specific in his vision. Not just the script, and his scripts always have, whether it's Thoroughbreds or Bad Education, now this, a very particular tone. It's highly authored. It feels like it has his personality. But I think that with his DP, Lyle Vincent, Sue Chan in production design, Eric DeBoer, visual effects supervisor, there was a lot of confidence building and kind of like very iterative, from concept art stage to the beginnings of what these creatures looked like. And, you know, this is a risky film. This is a bold film. There aren't that many films like this that get made. This is not some, you know, these creatures, this whole universe that Tobin originally created, you know, it doesn't have a representation in the world. It's not a remake. It's an original creation. And I think that in order to, frankly, you know, mount something like this, you know, everyone needs to feel that the director's in command, and Cory was really remarkable with that on a technical level, and also in terms of the actors that he was able to assemble. Obviously, Kylie, Asante, who can't be with us here today, but, you know, Tiffany Haddish and William Jackson Harper, Michael Gandolfini, Josh Hamilton, just across the board, I think brought together an amazing group of people to like realize this vision that he had.
And Kylie, what were the challenges or the pleasures for you of working with the visual effects component?
It was definitely something I'd never done before to that extent of like acting with like a little plastic alien. So I mean, I guess at first, I was a little nervous it was going to be a difficulty, but I think we had such amazing casting crew. It made it seem so seamless and totally natural, which is bizarre, but I mean, I had a great time working with the aliens. I thought they were great.
Good scene partners.
Great scene partners.
The last thing I want to ask about Cory is I read that the last day of shooting in this movie, you actually did kind of a key scene with your two lead actors. And I was wondering if you could talk about shooting that and how that benefited from being the last day of shooting.
Yeah, just as sort of a quirk of our schedule, we ended up having some of the kind of most vulnerable scenes, I suppose, between our two young leads, kind of shot back to back on our last day. And I just recall that being a really wonderful day. I think, frankly, my tonal comfort zone as a director tends to be cynical, ominous, dark, soulless interaction between people. So it's not... it's a little out of my comfort zone in a good way to have a scene of two young people really kind of connecting on an emotional level and being vulnerable with one another. And Kylie and Asante were just so great on that day, and it was a perfect way to sort of cap off the movie. We'd gotten through all of our big technical hurdles, and we knew we had sort of the human heart of the movie there on the last day.